So I just got back from the annual meeting of the Society of Biblical Literature and the Institute for Biblical Research, SBL, IBR, also the American Academy of Religion. I'm not a member of AAR, but they have their conferences together every year the week before Thanksgiving. This year it was in San Antonio. I'm going to do a longer video about it. I've got some behind the scene footage, some pictures. It was a great event, just like last year's was. But while I was there, I finished reading a resource and I wanted to let you guys know about it. Our friends at Lexham Press recently sent me a copy of The End of the World as You Know It: What the Bible Really Says About the End Times and Why It's Good News. This is by Matthew Halstead. The reason I really wanted to read this book specifically, I've read a lot of books on eschatology, on end times. In fact, this shelf down here, you can't really see all of it because it goes off camera. That's pretty much all eschatology end time stuff. The reason I wanted to read this one, besides having a plug on the back from our dear friend David De Silva, is because the title of this book reminded me of our Disciple Dojo podcast series. Now, we don't have this on YouTube because we filmed this long before I even owned a video camera and back when smartphones could not film long form content. But back in those days, before Disciple Dojo was ever a nonprofit, when I was just teaching in local church settings, I taught a course at the church called Apocalypse Now? What the Bible teaches about the end times. This is an actual CD copy. Look at this. Before YouTube and podcasts, you had to listen on CDs. Now, the bad news is I don't really have any of these copies left except this one that I keep for sentimental reasons. The good news is all of this is now freely available online over at the Disciple Dojo podcast. So if you go to our website, I'll put it right here at the bottom of the screen, you can download this and hundreds of hours of other podcasts completely free on whatever podcast platform you prefer. We're hosted on SoundCloud, so whenever I share things, that's usually the platform I'm sharing from. But you can listen on Apple, you can listen on Amazon, you can listen on Spotify. It's 10 sessions. Each session is over an hour long, and we did a deep dive on what the Bible teaches about the end times, an overview of the different approaches that Christians have taken throughout church history to interpreting and understanding things having to do with the end, including personal end times. In other words, what happens when individuals die, not just the end of the world, but heaven, hell, intermediate state, purgatory, those kind of concepts. So this is entirely free. Go check it out if you haven't already listened to it. It was recorded a long time ago. It was recorded live in a classroom, so you can actually hear me writing on the dry erase board. But what you're going to find in that podcast is very similar to what Halstead writes in his book. So reading this really took me back to teaching that class. The conclusions he comes to on almost every issue that he touches on, I find myself saying, yeah, that's where I land as well. There may be a few times where I'm like, I don't know about that. But for the most part, if I were to write an eschatology book, this pretty much would be it. So thanks to Matthew Halstead, I don't have to write an eschatology book. Although I have written an eschatology book, and if you didn't know that, it's available on Amazon. It's called You Want to Be Left Behind. I'll let the title speak for itself. Check it out. It's available in ebook. You can even get it in paperback if you want. Again, I'll put the link here below and in the description for this video. But I really do recommend this book. I think it's very well written. It covers these very hot button topics. It's only 7 chapters, and it covers the topics: are we in the end times? How should we understand Revelation? What is the mark of the beast? Will Christians be raptured? Is there a coming time of tribulation? How can we know when Jesus will return? What can we know about the Antichrist? So it's a thematic overview of those concepts, and then it looks at the biblical texts, which is the approach that we take in the Apocalypse Now course for the most part. We do a summary of the different views. Halstead does not do that in his book, but this was a course trying to give people an overview. So we do summarize the different views and kind of trace how they arose and let them speak for themselves. But then we kind of do what Halstead does is we say, now that you know all these concepts, now that you have a lay of the land, what does Scripture say? And then we look at the actual texts. So I really appreciate Lexham sending me this book. I Absolutely, 100% recommend it. I think it's fantastic if you have questions about the end times, particularly if you were raised or currently follow the kind of left behind mindset, the idea of a rapture, tribulation, all the Kirk Cameron movie stuff. If that's the only view you have of the end times, or if the end times scare you, if you get nervous, if you get filled with anxiety thinking about the end times, then check out The End of the World as You Know It, what the Bible really says about the end times and why it's good news. Lexham isn't paying me for this review. They did give me this copy, so I have to say on YouTube that this is a paid endorsement. But whether I had bought this or it was given to me, either way, once reading it, I'm completely endorsing this. I think it's a great book. It's not long. Check it out. Let me know what you think in the comments section below if you get a chance. Eschatology matters, and it can be intimidating, and for some people it does create anxiety, but it shouldn't. And that's what we want to convey here at Disciple Dojo. So be sure to check out our various resources about end times, eschatology, Revelation. We have a whole course here that walks through the book of Revelation chapter by chapter. You download the PDF workbook for free. All of the courses are free. The podcast is free. Amazon Kindle book is not free. You have to buy it, or if you buy the paperback on Amazon. But if that's a problem, if you want to read the book, but you can't afford the couple of dollars that it costs to get it on Kindle or to get the paperback, let me know. Email me through the contact form at Disciple Dojo, and we'll work it out so that you can get a copy. But that's all for now. Stay tuned for more from my time at SBL. Like I said, I literally just got off the plane this afternoon. I'm going to rest for the holidays, go spend some time with my family down in Georgia. Go Dogs. And I'll be back after Thanksgiving. So that's all for now. As always, keep training.